Welcome to the Divestment and Sustainable Investment Forum. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Tony Cortese, and along with George Dyer, we run the Intentional Endowments Network that is designed to help colleges and universities make environmental, social, and governance criteria the way in which they think about their investment. And we're happy to have you here, and I want to first thank everyone for coming. And a special thanks to the Alliance for Sustainable Colorado for organizing us, the Intentional Endowments Network, and Divest Invest for Philanthropy around the great event that you had last night. And I'm sorry I couldn't be with you. I was at the US SIF conference and was moderating the closing session on higher education, sustainability, and investments. And so I couldn't logistically get here, so I'm so sorry to miss it. I understand that Ellen did a great job, as usual, and that it was a terrific tribute. And is Ellen here? I don't think she's here this morning yet. I haven't seen her. I want a special thanks to John Powers and Janice Six for really doing a lot of the work to pull all of this together. We really appreciate it greatly. This meeting, by the way, is a carbon neutral event. South Pole Group is here, and they are doing a wastewater treatment project in Thailand where they're eliminating the methane, and they're also burning the methane to actually supply the plant. And as an old wastewater treatment engineer, I was an environmental engineer when I started, this is music to my ears, so I really appreciate it. A special thanks to some of our supporters. You see we had on the screen, all of the people that are sponsors of this event. But there are three that I have to point out that if it weren't for them, the Intentional Endowments Network would not be in existence. And one of them is Bob Litterman and the Litterman Family Foundation. Thank you for your generous support. And John Powers from the Denver Foundation, which gave us support to actually put this whole event together. We greatly appreciate it. And also the Wallace Global Fund. Without all of these, we wouldn't be able to be standing here today. I will get to a little bit of what we do with the Intentional Endowments Network in a minute. But why are we here? We're here for a very simple reason, and that is embodied. Oops. I guess, you would think as an engineer, I know how to do this. But at any rate, is it not on this screen? Okay. We're here for a very simple reason. Humans are living in an unhealthy, inequitable, and unsustainable way off the life support system. For the first time in human history, the human species is the primary determinant of the habitability of the planet for ourselves and all of those species. We have become a force comparable to the meteors and the ice ages which have previously redirected Earth's history. And now we are doing it ourselves. And so what you see is a bunch of declining resources and increasing demand on a finite planet that cannot continue to support life. The climate crisis is not an environmental crisis. It's an existential crisis. It is indeed, if we don't solve that one, we can't solve any of the other social, economic, health, or environmental problems that we're concerned about. We need a new way of doing business. Business as usual will not work. To that extent, after spending a career in federal and state government, I went back to Tufts, where I got my first 2 degrees, to figure out what was wrong with the mindset of people that were coming out of colleges and universities that were leading us down this path. And what I discovered is very simple, that we're all based on 4 cultural assumptions: that humans are separate from the rest of nature, that whatever we do to manipulate the Earth's resources, by definition, is good, that humans are the pinnacle of creation, that the earth will be the gift that keeps on giving, irrespective of the size of the population or our material desires. That technology will substitute for everything. Don't worry about losing an endangered species. Don't worry about it, because technology will find a substitution. And the final is that if we let the market forces rip, all of society's problems will be solved. Well, we stand here today, and that's not the case at all. But that is embedded in the way we've been teaching people. We teach in silos. We teach people, humans are separate from the rest of the natural world. We have to try to infuse a caring about the natural world when, in fact, it is the only thing that allows us to be able to exist. So fast forward to what we did. In 1993, John Kerry and I started an organization called Second Nature to transform the way colleges teach and operate and work with local communities, so that all the graduates coming out, no matter what their background, they would understand how to make and do the things we need in society, but do it in a way that would allow everybody to have a decent quality of life and sustain the ability for future generations to do the same. Well, in 2006, we got 12 college and university presidents to put a stake in the ground and commit to becoming carbon neutral in their operations. Not overnight, but they had to make a firm commitment and a transparent and accountable commitment to become carbon neutral. And today we have 697 colleges in all 50 states and the District of Columbia that have made this commitment. And over the first 6 years, they've reduced their greenhouse gas emissions by over 25%. This is remarkable, given that no one had directed that they did this. It was a voluntary commitment. Unfortunately, however, there was a lead wall between everything that they were doing on education, research, operations, working with local communities, and the endowments. And we couldn't even have those conversations. But then the fossil fuel divestment effort hit. And all of a sudden, many of the colleges and universities were scrambling. So about a year and a half ago, I got a call from Jonathan Lash, who's the president of Hampshire College and the former president of World Resources Institute. And he said, Tony, people are coming and asking me about what to do with their endowments, and they don't know what to do. What do you think about holding a conference? And I said, I think it's a great idea, Jonathan, but I think we need to do something more. We have to figure out a way that we can support all these colleges and universities to really understand that they need to be a model for the rest of society, not only in the way they teach and the way they operate, but also in the way that they invest. So we decided after the first conference that we had in April of 2014, George Dyer, who was my vice president at Second Nature, we decided to launch the Intentional Endowments Network with the idea of really trying to help all of the colleges and universities move in this particular direction. So there's no question that the climate crisis is real. There's no issue around the science. And here's the way we tend to think about things. All investing is impact investing. Anytime you invest, you're having an impact. You hope it's positive, but there is an impact every time you invest in something. And so we think that it ought to be that we want to see that the colleges and universities and foundations are aligning their mission with their investments to reinforce that and to help move capital in the right direction. That's our philosophy, and that's what we're trying to do. So we are trying to do three things. We really want to, they're listed right here. But the essential issue of what we're trying to do is work with and through all of the organizations that are out there. Philanthropy, Divest, Invest, Ceres, As You Sow, Responsible Endowments Coalition, and all of those groups, and the people in the investment industry, to figure out ways that we can create enough synergy so that in 5 to 8 years, the default in higher education will be that all higher education will be using strict ESG criteria in all their decision-making. That's our goal. George and I cannot do this alone. We want to do it through a network, and that's why we decided to create a network. And we've created a steering committee of about 25 members, and those of you that are members of the steering committee, if you'd please stand up so people can recognize you. Stan, there's a few others. Alice. Several of them are not here. So Here's what we want to do. We think of 5 areas that we want to work in. Thought leadership. Schools want to know what other schools are doing. Foundations want to know what other foundations are doing. How can they learn from each other? We think peer-to-peer learning is critically important. Trustees to trustees, chief investment officers to chief investment officers, chief financial officers to chief financial officers, et cetera, and all of the players within these institutions. We also think that, that we want to find a way that we can convene people so that they can have a safe space to have these discussions to deal with the difficult challenges we have. We want to help them think about how to have the dialogue with all their stakeholders within their institutions, because this is not a simple thing. The head of the foundation or the head of a college or university cannot just say, I want to do this, and everybody should just follow in line. It doesn't work that way. So trying to create an opportunity for everybody to learn from each other is critically important. And those are the things that we would like to do, and we want to help people from different sectors learn from each other and work with each other. The one thing that I would ask you to think about during the day, and George and Barbara Simonetti, our team that really puts together these kinds of forums, we'll talk to you about actually what we're going to try to accomplish. One thing that I just want to be very clear about: many schools are really scared by the divestment movement, and they won't even have. They're reluctant to even have a conversation. And what we have to do is to really begin to talk with them about what their challenges are and to help them see we're not pro-divestment, we're not anti-divestment. We are utilizing ESG criteria in all their investment decision and using the variety of strategies for positive investments as well as getting rid of the things that are really not the right ones. There are some schools, for example, that I know that have decided not to invest now. But if you talk to them, they say, within 5 years, we think we can do it. We're just not going to make a commitment right now to do it, but we're working on it. And so what we have to do is figure out a way to make it safe and easy for people to overcome the different barriers that are there. And here is what I missed this. I'm sorry. Here's what we have learned from dealing with about 150 colleges and universities so far. These are the 7 or 8 issues that keep coming up over and over again. They're not unique to colleges and universities. They are not, anybody that is any kind of a public service institution is going to have the same issues. And those are the issues that we are trying to utilize our network to try to overcome and to help with. So thank you very much. I want to just say that one of the last slides here I want to show you is, if I can get there, just looking at college and university endowments, they're not uniform. First of all, there are 4,000 institutions of higher education in the United States. 46% of the students that go to college today go to community colleges for their first 2 years and then go on, and it's increasing because the cost of higher education is so high. Many of them are going to community colleges first. Most of what we think in terms of private institutions, they are the minority in terms of educating students in the United States. The majority is the public education system. We have very diverse kinds of colleges and universities. The U.S. education system is unlike any other in the world because we have specialty colleges and universities of all kinds. So don't think about things as one size fits all. You can see the distribution of the endowments. There's often an effort to look at just the big ones, the Harvards, the Stanfords, the Yales, but they represent a lot of the total money, but that's not the issue. There are, if you look at the 2,000 institutions of higher education that have some form of endowment, they have on average about 30 trustees. So you have about 60,000 trustees who are influential in other areas of society, that if we can get higher education to lead and get them to move in this direction, we can actually have a very big impact on the rest of society. That's why we decided to form the Intentional Endowments Network. So thank you very much. And one thing that I would just ask you to do is please move around, talk to different people, and ask questions ask for help from each other. We're here for everybody to learn from each other as much as possible. Thanks very much.